Good morning, 29th October 21. Inflation, disruption 112. Everybody is very surprised about raw materials price hike. Also, the energy price hike and the food price hike. And no one really is looking at deeply why is this inflation? Because if we understand and we start to do this research and development, innovate and study, for example, the energy. In the energy invoice, there is approx around 80% tax in the petrol, 80% tax in any energy when we plug in our computer. So 80% tax. Therefore, it is very normal that every time we use a kilowatt, every time we drive, every time we spend energy, we are overpaying 80%. And this is what generates inflation. You see, it's very simple. Just politicians lie. That's all they do. And generate 80% tax. The only way to stop inflation is to reduce tax to zero. Very simple. Then they generate this layer of taxes that have a lot of papers involved, obligations to present the taxes. And this also generates inflation. Now we have, for example, in the food, we have VAT. We even have in the pharmacies VAT for the masks. And if we have a test PCR, there is VAT for everything. And that generates inflation. But having to fill these papers to provide these inutile tax governments with things to do and how to fill these 50,000 buildings in Spain worth 300 billion, enough to pay pensions for 3 years, is it? This, having to pay for these 4 million public servants doing these papers, now also generates inflation, because this is not natural, this is not transparent price. If the energy price had no taxes, and therefore we would also need not to fill these papers, there would be much less inflation, only because supply-demand constraints. And then equilibrium would be zero. But if we add here 80% tax and we add these 4 million people, public workers doing nothing in 50,000 buildings, that's also 4 million people that you have to pay around 100 billion wages. That generates inflation. Yes. So now we want to get rid of inflation. Yes. Then you have to really start thinking how. First, you have to get into a sector that is transparent and has the least taxes and the least bureaucracy. That's shipping. We in shipping have the perfect economy. Supply demand goes up, goes down, but there is equilibrium always. It's very important to look at shipping, how really it is the last border of essential, not it is fundamental economic rule. And therefore we have to really know that inflation is really generated by those that talk about it, because they cost. Every time they print money, every time they increase the interest rates, every time they issue a lot of dollars, euros. How would you describe if there is $10 in the market today and suddenly they print 100 more? Is the value of those $10 falling? Yes, that's inflation. So then if you buy an apple, then it costs more dollars because there is more in the market. Very simple. So those that talk about inflation are the inflation themselves. So then this is disruption, sorry, 112. It's very funny when they talk about inflation, those that generate it. Simply just fire them, put them zero cost, sell these buildings, have zero taxes for energy, zero taxes for food, and then you will really get to the point. Perfect economic inflation, zero. Yes, but we will never get there. They will always find another tax so that your kids, my kids, will never have opportunity and will be poor forever, and the population will be smaller and smaller and smaller. This is not inflation. No, 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 no. That's a lie. But anyway, take care. Hope you like this video. Thank you. Bye.